If you're looking to source private label products from China, then using a China sourcing agent can save you time and money. In fact, with a sourcing agent, I was able to find a supplier and import 7,200 pieces of a custom designed product with my own brand in just 2 months. Here's how I did it. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell button to be notified when new videos come out. Now, a China sourcing agent is an individual or company that specializes in helping you finding a supplier for your products. And typically, they reside in China and help you find factories and manufacturers, negotiate prices and terms, perform inspections for quality control, and ship products to your warehouse. And overall, they act as your trusted partner on the ground and cut down on all the headaches of working with China wholesale suppliers. Now, for this production run, I used a sourcing company called Jingsourcing. Jingsourcing is a China sourcing company that helps you find factories with competitive pricing and perform quality control to manufacture your own private label products. They are based in Yiwu, China, and they have many years of experience helping companies find great suppliers. And they also consult on freight forwarding, compliance certifications, warehousing, basically everything you need to source products from China. Now, why did I choose Jingsourcing? It was actually somewhat of an accident. First off, the main reason to use a China sourcing agent like Jing is to save time and money on your next production run. A China sourcing agent can also help you take an idea for a product and have it built by a factory in China. Now, this past holiday season, one of our suppliers informed us that there'd be an 8-month delay in production and that we would not receive our products until after Christmas. Now, meanwhile, we were going to run out of stock within 2 months and we needed a new wholesale supplier fast. Now, typically, buying from Alibaba takes at least 1 to 2 months, and attending the Canton Fair was not an option either. As a result, we used a China sourcing agent to find us a new factory as quickly as possible. Now, you're probably wondering how much a China sourcing agent costs. Now, what's nice about Jingsourcing is that they do not charge any money up front. Instead, you pay them a percentage of your cost of goods once they find you a manufacturer. However, there is a small catch. They do not reveal who your manufacturer is, and they act as a go-between between you and the factory. As a result, all orders placed with any factory they find you must be placed through your agent. Now, here's exactly how much Jingsourcing charged me for my last production run. And for most agents, you'll get charged between 5 and 10% of your cost of goods. Now, overall, what I like about using a China sourcing agent is that they do not get paid until they find you a manufacturer. As a result, your interests are aligned and there's actually no risk to using their service. All right, so I'm going to talk about my experiences now with Jingsourcing. So we had our first call with Jing, and I presented a short document outlining exactly what I wanted to buy. And in this case, it was hem stitch napkins. And from here, our sourcing agent reached out to 16 plus suppliers. Now, half of the suppliers did not reply or refused to submit a quote. Many suppliers could not produce our exact design, and some suppliers just simply couldn't meet our time deadline. Now, over the course of just 3 to 5 days, we narrowed the field down to just a single supplier who provided us with a quote. Now, the quote that we received was slightly more expensive than our current supplier, but it wasn't egregious. Plus, we were in a pinch for time, so we decided to proceed with the next step, which was getting a sample. Now, before placing any bulk order, you should always have a sample made. Sometimes, producing a sample can be expensive compared to the per unit cost of a bulk order, but you should always spend the money. Now, overall, it took roughly 7 business days to receive the sample via FedEx, and as expected, we found several problems that needed to be addressed. Here were some of the defects. The napkin had deep wrinkles in the fabric that could not be easily pressed away. The napkin was just way too thin. The napkin width was significantly less than 20 inches, and the napkin edges had some defects. Now, within 24 hours, we went back to the supplier to address these issues and had another sample made. And the second time around, the sample was perfect. But here's a word of caution. Normally, the samples produced by a manufacturer are higher quality than the products made during bulk production. After all, they want your business. Now, regardless of how good your sample is, you must write down every possible product detail you expect in a quality control checklist. So for example, with our napkins, we specified the exact material thickness, the exact shade of white, the acceptable tolerance for size, how we wanted our napkins pressed and packed, and unacceptable imperfections in the stitching. Let's go over this quality control checklist since it's important. A quality control checklist is a document that enumerates the exact specifications of the product that you are manufacturing. So basically, you must write down every last detail for your supplier to ensure consistent production. Anything that you don't specify is open to interpretation. So for example, one time our manufacturer ran out of material mid-run and purchased a new roll of fabric, that was a different shade of white. But because we didn't specify the exact shade of white, our napkins were produced in different colors. So here's just an excerpt of our doc for your review. Now your quality control checklist should be passed along to your supplier before you enter production. Now after we passed our quality control specifications to the factory, they came back with a revised quote to account for the increased thickness of the napkins and some of the other changes. In addition, we arranged for a product inspection with Jingsourcing and negotiated an acceptable defect ratio with the factory. Now I just want to note here that all this correspondence with the supplier was done through the sourcing agent. I never had to speak to the supplier at all directly. And here's what we negotiated: a defect ratio to not exceed 5%. All product defects that exceeded 5% would be refunded by the factory. We also negotiated a full piece-by-piece inspection. Now normally, we pay a company like Kima for a partial sampling of our products to save money, but because this was our first run with the supplier, we actually opted for a full piece-by-piece inspection. We also negotiated an 8-week turnaround time. For this production time, the supplier promised to finish the bulk by October 5th. And if they were late by even a single week, they would refund us our full deposit back. Now, once we had all the terms in place, we started production. And to start production, you just pay a 30% deposit. Meanwhile, our sourcing agent inspected the first couple of pieces off the line to make sure that they were acceptable. Now, monitoring your production run in real time is actually one of the main advantages of having a sourcing agent who resides in China. Instead of having the supplier FedEx a production sample, which would easily have taken a week or more, our agent simply compared the first products off the line to the original sample to save time. Meanwhile, they kept me informed via WhatsApp during the entire process, and whenever I had a question, they would respond quickly via text. Now, our factory ended up completing our production run slightly ahead of schedule, which was fortunate because we experienced many problems during the inspection process. So for example, there were many new issues with product quality that were actually not addressed in my quality control document. And during the piece-by-piece inspection, our sourcing agent sent me videos of every defect for approval in real time. And here's a sample video if you want to take a look. But bottom line, I never would have been able to address these issues so quickly without my sourcing agent. Inspection companies are typically not this communicative or thorough. We also had many issues with our packaging. I actually ended up spending so much time defining our products that I neglected to be as thorough with our bags. So as a result, our final packaging came out slightly off-center. We also had numerous problems with the adhesives that sealed the bag, but overall, our sourcing agent ended up resolving most of these issues for an extra $250, which was not a big deal at all. Now, in terms of getting our product, we actually placed our order during the height of the container shipping crisis. As a result, sea shipping was both slow and expensive. So we actually had our sourcing agent arrange for air shipment via FedEx, and the shipping cost via air was about $4,000 for roughly 25 cartons of 40 pounds each. Now this is really expensive, but we were desperate to receive these products in time for the holiday season. Now here were the final details. After the final inspection, we ordered 7,200 pieces total. 9.4% or 683 pieces were defective, and the supplier refunded us in full for the defective merchandise. Now our target shipping date was October 9th, and we ended up receiving our order on October 26th, which was great. Now here are the pros and cons of using a China sourcing agent as opposed to finding your own suppliers via Alibaba or going to the Canton Fair. 1, it'll save you time. Jingsourcing was able to find me a great supplier in a single week and send me a sample within 2 weeks. If I had gone the Alibaba route, it would have taken me at least 4 to 6 weeks or longer. There's no language barrier. They handled all the communication with my factory, they performed all the negotiations, and helped resolve all production problems on the spot. And as a result of that, production was smooth. No product run is ever smooth, but even though we ran into numerous hiccups, Jingsourcing helped me resolve them on the spot in China. And as a result, the quality control was excellent. They inspected every single piece of my order at one really low price. And quality-wise, my production run with my sourcing agent was probably the most consistent quality shipment that I've ever received. And the communication was excellent. Whenever I needed an update, my sourcing agent was available immediately through WhatsApp, and I was notified of all production problems on the spot without any delays. And they handle all the shipping too. Normally we use our own freight forwarder, but we decided to let our sourcing agent handle everything, and getting products to our warehouse was just quick and easy. But here are the downsides of using a sourcing agent. The extra costs might eat into your margins. Now our sourcing agent added an extra 5 to 10% to our costs. There's also a single point of failure. Because Jingsourcing does not reveal who your factories are, you essentially lose your supplier if you decide to part ways. And sometimes there are back-end deals going on. Now, I sincerely believe that there are no back-end deals made with my sourcing agent and my suppliers, but in theory, your sourcing agent could favor one factory over another to increase your order size, and this is just something to be aware of when using any sourcing agent. So was using a China sourcing agent worth it? Now, for our business, using Jing was 100% worth it, and without our sourcing agent, there was no way that we could have found a new supplier and received high-quality products within just 2 months. Getting samples alone would have taken at least a month, and we would have had to weed through dozens of companies to find a quality supplier. Quality control is fantastic. Our sourcing company provided basic quality control as part of their fee, but we paid a little bit extra to have every single piece inspected at one low price. As a result, the quality of our shipment was among the highest we've ever received in terms of consistency. In addition, they handled all the production snafus extremely well. They asked for my approval for every decision made, and by the end, I completely trusted their judgment and their experience. Now, the only downside that I can think of with using a sourcing agent is that we are actually tied to them for all future orders with this factory. If our agent were ever to go out of business or change their terms, I would no longer be able to use this particular supplier. But price-wise, the 5 to 10% premium that our sourcing agent charges was well worth the cost. Hope you enjoyed this video. Now, if you like what you saw, there's actually a lot more where that came from if you subscribe to my channel below. And if you are interested in learning how to sell physical products online, then click over here and take my free 6-day mini course where I'll walk you through everything that you need to know to get started in e-commerce. Thanks for watching.